Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Lake Hot Rods. We're back in the shop today on the 62 Falcon all-wheel drive project, and it looks like crap because it's a storage bin as well, and it's going to get it cleaned off and kind of get remotivated. Today we're going to work on this rear axle. So when I got my new axles from a different vehicle, they're 31 splines out of an Explorer. Got them home, sent them off, measured, get them cut. I never really bothered to look at the bearings. So this is a Crown Vic rear end, and the bearings are a different size, and you cannot find bearings, at least I can't find bearings that match the OD and the ID of the new axle. The new axle is significantly beefier than the factory ones, which is sitting right there, and I'll show you. I'll compare them here in a second. But my plan is I cut the end of the axle tube off of an Explorer, and I'm going to weld that on there. And it actually looks like the axle tube is significantly larger as well, so that might be a problem. But we're gonna find out, and we're gonna fix it. So my plan of attack is to take this piece here and attach it to this axle. Obviously, I'll get rid of those, and then we'll make a hybrid rear end here that never existed. I really am frustrated with the fact that Ford made a different rear housing 8.8 for a Crown Vic than they did an Explorer. I don't understand that. If you want to do a smaller axle, just put a different bearing in there. But maybe the engineering, the axle would have failed if the bearing would have failed. I don't know. It's dumb. Make one axle, put brackets on it, make it fit a different car. Make one axle housing. Why do you make 2 or 3 different ones? It makes zero sense. But anyway, that's my rant for the day. That goes across everything, every manufacturer. There's a reason behind it, I'm sure. I don't see the reason, so it's frustrating, but you got to deal with it. So I'm going to attempt to make this axle fit that axle, this end flange. It almost fits the brakes, the brake backing plate and the brake bracket for the disc around here, which is even weirder. That goes over that. But the brake part itself fits over this little bump up. So you got a little bump up and a taper down for the smaller bearing, and this fits right up to that, if you can see that. So it's close. Obviously, bolt pattern is not really close, but I'm gonna have to make that fit as well. The bracket's steel, so I can weld to it and re-drill and make some new holes. I don't care. I'm gonna make what I got work, and I think what I have parts-wise will do that. So I'm going to get this rear end out because I don't want to be sitting over here grinding and cutting and make sure I want to get it straight and all this good stuff. So I got to get the rear end out, 6 or 8 bolts, and it'll be on the ground here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take the gears out because it'll make it even more heavier. And we'll get it on the table and maybe get a clearer shot of what I'm doing. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's just going to be cutting and make sure it's straight, make sure this flange is lined up, and just make sure it goes back together the way I want it. So I'll stop yapping and we'll get some work done. We'll get to it. So stand by. I can barely catch it. So I just flip it a bit like that.
Long, maybe tape. Put that back up there. 16 and a half, you gotta take a good 5/8 off of it, right? Very much.
So we're making some headway with it. I've got the brake caliper bracket hogged out so that this rear end will index on there, that little ring in the middle. And I had it fitting pretty good. Then I realized I need to step it up a little bit for that. So indexed good, it's in there nice, and it's nice tight fit. I want to make sure I clock this correctly so that flange matches that flange. This is a little bigger tube, like I was saying before, so I cut it to where the flare there fits, and I'll just fill that with weld and grind it smooth, and it'll transition in nicely. It'll have a little bit of a bump there, but I don't see a reason to get rid of it or other than just looks. So I can fill it and be good to go. Just need to make sure this is nice and square and true to the rear end the best I can. I don't have a jig for it as far as, you know, all the way through, and certainly would help, but that thing's like $800, and I just think I can get it pretty good, pretty close with some measuring strategically, and make sure, just take your time and do it once. So far all my measurements are really good. Make sure my overall length stays correct where I got it, and much should be pretty good. I've adapted this bigger bearing housing to my rear end, and hogged out my brake caliper for it, so all the brakes and all that'll work. And I'll have us a big bearing rear end for the 8.8 big bearing, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make sense in my opinion to why they have different bearing sizes. Just freaking put one all the same. Be done with it. Make life a lot easier. But in normal fashion, nothing's easy, and you really gotta try to figure out this crap to make it work. In hindsight, I probably should have just used a Mustang rear end or an Explorer rear end, but I would have spent more money setting up a Watts link with it, or a triangulated, some sort of a 4-link in there. And it's just because it was cost effective to do it this way. I still don't have a lot of money, and it's all junkyard parts. So, and let's get this tube on, and I got another one to do, and hopefully we'll get this car back on the ground here shortly, and keep moving on. Well, we got the rear end in place, or the rear end caps in place where I want them, and a lot of measuring, a lot of fitting, a lot of measuring over and over. You want to make sure those are pretty straight and square. I had it jigged up on the table and welded in place and fixtured, and we got everything centered. I had I had a laser on it. I had tapes and straight edges and all kind of good stuff. So we got it all fixtured up, and I had, we measured and taped and measured and checked and squared and trued, and it was just back and forth until it was right. And you want to make sure this is right, because you get these wrong and you're going to smoke some bearings really quick. I feel really good with the measuring that we did and how we got it square and all that. So I'm going to move forward and go ahead. I already got a pretty good bead on one side. I'm going to rotate the axle around and get a bead on the other, so it'll pull and flex and do whatever. Kind of try to keep it symmetrical. Weld one side and weld the other. It'll pull, and try to keep it centered, and I'll jig it back up and we'll remeasure it and do all that. But all this to shorten the rear end. And if you're ever going to use a Crown Vic 8.8, be mindful that the bearings are a lot smaller than an Explorer axle. It is what it is. But I'm just going to get it welded and move on from there. Well, we got the rear end bolted back together, and axle tubes are in place, welded, and kind of went through and ground up a good bit. I still got some more to do. I'll probably be an idiot and body work and make sure this thing is nice and pretty before I finalize insulation, but I do want it to look good because you can kind of see it, but it's not too obvious. But I just want it to look good. It's just me. It is what it is. It's my car. I'm going to do what I want. But anyway, got everything reassembled. Tubes are welded, final weld. Everything in straight. Everything went in with no binding, no issues that I can see. And I'm really happy with that. The axles are in. They fit, thank God, because that would have been a really expensive mistake. But hey, here we are. Everything's good to go. Bolted together. We're going to put it back in the car and move on. We'll probably do work on the hood this week because I got a piece of sheet metal that I can use to patch a hole in the hood. And got it right over chill. All right, I got the panel separated. Inner structure here from the Ford truck. There's actually really, the glue they used was really still in pretty good, had some pretty good holding power still. I was beating on it I was hitting it with the chisel and, wedging underneath the panel, and it finally let go. I was going to say this adhesive is still really good, so good job, Ford. So I'm going to use this sheet metal to patch my hood. I'm going to strip it clean, start with some fresh metal, get all the grease and crap off of it, and we're gonna see if we can attempt to patch that hood. I'm kind of nervous about it because I know it's probably going to warp, and I hate it when sheet metal warps. But MIG welding sheet metal is that's the nature of the beast. It's going to happen. So I'm just going to try to take my time and do it and shape it good. It'll probably take me the rest of the day to shape it and be satisfied with the shape, but I'm only going to need half of this sheet metal, so we'll go from there. All right, I got my patch. This is the original panel from the hood that I cut out. You can see how warped I got it. And I've actually run it through the English wheel. I ran it through the English wheel a few times. And I ran it through the English wheel and tried to straighten it out, and it ain't happening. So we'll lay it up here. We'll just cut out another piece. We'll use this, we'll try to make a new one. For one, I've got a flange on the end down here that rolls over the panel, the inner structure. It's got a curve to it. That's gonna be tough. So I got my pattern cut out here out of this sheet metal. I got it cleaned up, and I'm going to attempt to roll this lip in here first. I think I'm gonna roll it in the bead roller. I did a little test pattern, and it did a pretty good job. Pretty good little bead on it. So I'm gonna see if I can get that, and then see if I can get it to roll over, and that'll be duplicating this. So that rolls over the back of the hood here. And see if I can get that to slide on, and then I'll start shaping this little bit here. See what we can come up with. So may ruin it. I set a few seconds here and kind of laid it out. I don't know. I may ruin it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's get on it. So far, so good. Starting to break. A little boo-boo right there, but I think I can handle that. Video it correctly. If you can see it. Let's see if that'll work. Too bad. It's going to be tough to roll it all the way over. I might definitely have to stretch it a little bit. So I ran it through the English wheel. I just wanted to do it. I ran it through the English wheel and got a pretty decent little curve out of it. I was pretty stoked with that. I ran over my edge a little bit and flattened it out, so I got to recurve it. But I think it was a 5-inch radius that I used, and it's really close. So pretty amazing. Just 2 passes over it. I just got lucky in the first one. I checked. Just a little cheap Grizzly English wheel, and it did really good. Like I said, I got a 5-inch radius. I barely squeaked down on the tightness, and I'll run it through here again, and we'll get another. Do the other side here. I'm definitely not a pro with an English wheel. I have no idea what I'm doing. Watching the videos to kind of know the do's and don'ts, but I can guarantee you I'll find some new do's and don'ts. More like don'ts. So that's pretty much it. It's a nice gentle curve to it now, and that's kind of what the hood scoop looks like. So from flat panel, and it's got a little bit of flex to it, but once I weld it, that'll definitely make it worse and probably warp the shit out of it. But and I'll put some more curve in here on this end and go from there. From there. Flatten it. Trim this lip a little bit. I got too much on there. It's kind of fighting it. So kind of wanted to get it closer to this. Micrometer. Turned off. Be right back. Well, I'm pretty stoked with this fit up. I've got a little bit more trimming to do here. I just don't want to get big, I don't want the panels touching. I felt like when I MIG'd it last time and they were touching, it put too much material right there. So I want a little bit of a gap, and on this side as well, I want a little bit of a gap. But I've got a think I got the right amount up front here, and I just lift up just ever so slight. And man, it is perfection. I'm really happy with that. It's got a good little crown to it, and pretty happy with it. I stripped the top off and got it to where it's bare. Looks a lot better than welding the orange panel in there. But I'm not going to rush into it and weld it right yet. We'll come back in the morning and do that, and just make sure it's fitting really good. It's got a little bit of a low right here, and I want to get that out of there. Just where it starts to transition into the underside here, the structure. It's just about right there. So, and then on the other side of the structure, I'm going to get rid of the center support, and let me get it flipped over here. So on these corners, I want to dress them up and make them kind of look like they belong, where I added the hood structure, hood latch. And I'm going to come in here and get rid of this structure as well, this center bracing. When I went to Triple Crown last couple weekends ago, there was a 63 Falcon hardtop there that the owner, or the builder, I talked to him a few minutes. Nice dude, and gave me some insight on how he did it. Got rid of these corners here. He got rid of the X-brace just to clear the Coyote engine that was under the hood. And I asked him if he had any issues with it floating or flopping about, and he said no, it's pretty stout. So I feel like with adding the extra pieces in here and making a functional scoop out of it, I think it'll be just fine. At least I hope it will be. But I want to try to dress up these edges here and make them look more like this. Probably going to come in here and just come straight across and get rid of this piece here, so I have this little curved part. I can come up here and add it to that, and then come back and curve back around and make it look like the factory stamped it in there. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and I think the hood will be pretty well complete, other than making a little piece here to fit the grill mesh that I've got. So all in all, I think it'll be looking really good, and hopefully I'll be able to finish that up. I should be able to finish that up tomorrow. I feel pretty good about that. Get this piece welded in, and then we'll start working on these pieces here. And I gotta look at the picture again. I'll put it in the video when I make it, and I want to make sure these are what I'm thinking they are in my head. But again, I'll come over here to this side and do the same thing and round it and make it look like that here. Make it look like it's a factory piece. So, of course, I got a lot of finishing to do on this upper panel here, and we'll body work it and make it look nice. These are the pieces here. I cut them out and got another section of the hood support, hood structure, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to just cut a little bit bigger than this lip up here, then I'll fit it slowly. And I want to make sure this flange here fits it as well and flows in and makes it look like it was stamped that way. So get a measurement here and get this thing chopped up. Now I know it's obviously a little wet. I put a little OSPO rust inhibitor on there. and start working on this front part here and get this, and we'll get this transitioned. I may just like find it here and then come straight over like I marked on the other side. I just marked it to see what it looked like. And I could put another piece from the other structure in there and make a curve and then come right over here and be good to go. Do another straight piece like I just did there and cut all this out, because before I was planning on keeping the inner, obviously, and so I boxed that in to kind of make it tie in, and I was gonna curve it anyway, and a little better here just to make it look more like the factory stamped it, but very modified. So let's get this cut, and it's kind of like that. I did a straight line across here, and I'll transition that curve into there. I think it'll look pretty good. If I cut the center of it, I can use this one and this one on either side, and stop it right in the middle there, and then continue up straight, and I think that'll look good. So let me do that real quick. So that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and get a piece here and fit before I get this welded in and make sure it all lines up. I'll probably end up leaving that just because it gives it a little more structure here, especially where the latch is. And it's not hurting anything. I'll probably put a couple more tacks in there before I finish it and cap it off. Squirt a little primer in there and call it good. It's a pretty good piece because this, I guess when they formed it, the metal, when they stamped it, the metal drew in a little bit right here. So it drew in this arch, or whenever they cut it or stamped it, it looks like it was stamped out and pressed. So however the metal landed, but this piece here transitions back to that as well. So I don't have to make it right in here because it starts to kind of kick out a little bit more. So no big deal. I got enough material there. I can blend that in and it'll look like it. It'll look like it came that way. I will have to add a little piece here, but I wouldn't have enough material there anyway. This is only so wide, so no big deal. Only thing is I don't like that part there. I guess I need to come in there a little bit to give myself a little more room. Let's start right there. Let's see what that gives me. But not much. I'll probably do a little bit more right here and then start blending it harder back into over here where it goes. Actually, it looks pretty good where it is. All right, so after a lot of fitting and fiddling, that's the transition I'm gonna have, and I like that a lot. It looks a lot better, and it looks like it belongs. Doesn't look like, to me, it doesn't look like I added a pocket. Now, when I get it metal finished, it'll look a lot better, obviously. We'll body work it and smooth it out. And what I'm gonna do is I'll pop through this old panel bond, and I'll re-panel bond all around it entirely and give it as much strength and structure as I can since I cut the center of it out. I'll get it welded in, and we'll move on to the other side. I won't show that because it's the same. It's just copy. Well, my uncle was gracious enough to let me borrow his TIG welder, so I can try to TIG this here, and that way I can hammer the welds. I've been TIG welding for about an hour, and that's about all the experience I have. So follow at your own risk. Use this as a learning experience, but whatever you do, you probably shouldn't do what I'm doing. Learning how to TIG weld on a hood. Yeah, I gotta do what I gotta do. At least I'll be able to hammer it and work the metal a little better than with a MIG. You're not hammering a MIG weld. So I've got the panel lined up really good, really nice fit. I'm happy with it, and I'm gonna try to make it permanent. Well, I managed to get it tack welded at least and TIGged in. First time ever using the TIG machine and welding sheet metal. I'd say I did pretty good. It's not warped. It still held its shape really well. I hammered the beads, the tacks. Got a little high spot right here. But I'm gonna cut that weld loose, work that a little bit, and then re-weld it. Overall, I'm super stoked. Now I gotta finish welding it and hope I don't warp it more. So, yep. Let's get to it. All right, well, I have officially given up on this hood. It kicked my ass up and down both sides, and got a lot of work into it. And when I welded this panel in place, I warped the crap out of it. And it's beyond me how to save it. I don't know. I really don't know how to fix it. So I tried beating on it, tried heating it, and cooling it real quick, and try to get these waves out of the sides here. But it's pretty bad. I've hit the welds and tried to stretch them back out, and it's just bad. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the skill set to fix it, so I've got to kind of figure out what I want to do with it now. Probably gonna be wall art, but I've got 2 leads on 2 different panels, another whole car and another person who had advertised for parts. So I'm gonna see if I can find one close by. There is one that I found close by that they want $800 for it, which I just feel like it's a situation where they don't really know what it is. They just threw a number out there. I should probably call them and maybe offer them, but we're gonna move away from the hood. I learned how to TIG. I learned how to warp, which I already knew how to warp metal, amazingly. So if you don't know how to warp metal, just burn the piss out of it with a weld and it'll warp. So it is what it is. I've looked up fiberglass ones. They do make fiberglass versions of this hood for $650. Again, a little breathtaking, but $650 right now for a hood is not something I want to spend my money on. I can drive this car without a hood, so push comes to shove, that may be the last thing I do before I paint it by a hood. So, but anyway, like I said, I got leads. We're gonna fish for it and see what we come up with. But for right now, I'm gonna flip the camera really fast and make you sick, and I'm gonna get back to my electrical panel. So originally I have my fuse panel here and my OBD port. I'm going to get rid of that, and I think I'm going to put that under the dash to where, like every other normal car nowadays has the port. Just plug it in under the dash. So that'll be one less thing in here I've got to deal with. And I got this fuse and relay panel from a early 2000s Camaro Firebird. I needed a spot for some more relays, and the one I have is only 6. So now I've got 8. I went ahead and added the relay panel here, and I made some bracketry that I could tie this into, and just slides right in there and bolts in. There actually was 2 screw holes already here, so I just found a screw that was flush down in there, and it'll come in and out without taking relays and stuff out. Don't see a need to take it in and out once it's set, but so I made some brackets, and I'm going to mount it behind where the seat used to go. And this is the angle of the seat area that goes up to the package tray. And I'm going to weld the fuse panel in like that. And so it'll kind of be at an angle, but it's also back far enough, the surface of this, so that I can put a panel back there in the back seat area and cover it up. And I'm going to hinge it at the bottom of that panel, so the whole panel will fall down, or come down, won't fall, but it'll come down and give you access to the fuse panel and all that good stuff. And weld this panel onto here, and then I'll set the fuse panel in place and get this top area marked. And this is the other panel that fills the gap where the seat support, or the cross member support back there lays, and it fills that gap up and recesses the fuse panel enough that it clears. Well, the fuse panel area is in place. I welded it in and finished up, kind of tack welded some of the areas. It's just kind of did a little stitching right there. There's no need to fully weld that, it'd be overkill. I did go ahead and pull the seat brackets off here and there, and I've got a couple holes to fill over there. But while I'm in here doing this metal work and making all this mess, I want to go ahead, while I'm in here making this mess, I want to go ahead and finish this panel off. And so I've got one drawn up. I just kind of did a paper pattern and finished this panel and blend it into here and make it look finished. So I have a little curve on that area on the corner, and go on up and weld it in. I'll make one for both sides. Well, that's your final install. Got it pretty much where I want it. I got the wires routed coming along the transmission tunnel there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to make the panel and cover it up, and we'll go from there. I did get some door panels made. I got the passenger side rear, the driver's side rear, and I went ahead and made the driver's side door. Like I said, I got a blank slate here, so trying to figure out what I want, and see what I can come up with. We'll keep after it, and we'll keep this project rolling. So thanks a lot, y'all. Appreciate y'all watching Big Lake Hot Rods. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.